We're going to just take you around the Caribbean region a little bit. We've got joining us this morning via Zoom, a marketing and e-commerce strategist. He goes by the name of Caron Rose. He's joining us all the way. He's currently based in Trinidad, a very active website, a spicy YouTube channel. He spends a lot of his time hosting one of the top podcasts in the Caribbean region on digital business, what that means. We'll find out a little bit more, and I hope I have enough time to cram all of this information into this morning. Caron, good morning to you. Welcome virtually to Antigua and Barbuda.
Good morning, Patrice. Thank you for having me. You know what? I was in Antigua 2 days ago, technically on a technicality. We landed, but I couldn't leave. Oh man, Antigua's beautiful. Thank you for having me.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Caron, let's begin with what you do now. You've kind of branded everything and joined it together. So just kind of explain and break it down for me this morning. What would you consider a digital strategist?
So a digital strategist is that person that's going to connect all of the dots for your brand digitally. So a lot of people in the Caribbean tend to think when they're speaking about digital, it's just social media. But social media is just one corner of the interwebs, and then every social media platform operates in a silo. So a digital strategist's job is to, how do we build your digital footprint for your business? How do we connect your website, e-commerce, social media, your email list, your SMS list, your push notifications list, creating content through podcasts and your YouTube channel? How do we take all of these digital channels that we have, create a plan that ties everything together to build a complete, holistic digital plan for your brand and business?
Now, this is very important to anyone, whether you're a small business, whether you're a huge corporation. This is vital information that you're providing us with here. How did you get started in this? You got to take us back, Caron, and tell us how you even got there.
So it started off when I first moved to Trinidad back in 2014. When I was in Canada, I spent my life in Canada. I grew up in Canada, even though I was born in Trinidad. We left when I was a couple months old. When I came to Trinidad, I realized that my background in telecoms and working at Apple back in Canada, I've learned a lot about smartphone technology. I had a passion for smartphone tech. So when I came to Trinidad and I realized that, wait a minute, all of the resources that we have, the workshops, the tech YouTubers or bloggers, all the people who are educating you about technology on the whole, we don't have that in the Caribbean. So when you're Googling things, most time we get information from the US or other markets, and 80% of that information is irrelevant for the Caribbean. And I had to learn that. So for me, I got started by just taking my love and passion for smartphones and creating a space where I was teaching people how to use their smartphones for business and how to get the most out of it personally. And then I started to blog, and in blogging, I had to learn about how to build a website. Once I built the website, I started to ask myself, how are people showing up on Google? Like when you Google things, how do you show up? And that led me to learning about search engine optimization as a whole skill set. So I was creating a lot of content around smartphones on my website. Then I started the YouTube channel. And then from there, I got into podcasting. I had a tech blog at the beginning. And then the most important part, I wanted to start to sell the smartphone. So I had to learn, what are the equivalent of PayPal, since PayPal doesn't allow most Caribbean islands to receive the money. So that got me into learning about e-commerce and all of the Caribbean gateways that we have access to in the Caribbean and how that works. And again, because you're Googling these things and the information isn't there, I had to network, get all the information out for myself and put all that to use for my own business. So when in 2018, people started to ask me, hey, who built your website? I'm like, I did. They're like, how are you showing up on Google and Google Maps and Google Search? I'm like, well, I learned SEO. How are you selling online? How are you able to take credit card payments? I'm like, I learned e-commerce. So I realized, again, there was another huge gap in terms of online business. And because more people started to ask me about that, I then started to create content educating the Caribbean region about online business. And then COVID happened in 2019, 2020. So everything kind of just exploded from there. And every year it's just been, we're taking up to another level.
I was just about to ask you to backtrack again to just pre-COVID to say what the transition would have been like, what the response was like, because because when we meet business persons and we're trying to explain to them about the digital world and how important it is to have a social media presence, how important it is to understand what e-commerce can do for their businesses, there's a little bit of a drawback, at least here in Antigua and Barbuda. Was the reaction negative initially in Trinidad and Tobago as well?
You know, I don't think so. It's been a slow uptick across the region. So it's not just Antigua, it's all of us, because here in Trinidad, it's the same thing. In Jamaica, they're experiencing the same thing. And for me, we know our people like shopping online because they use Amazon. They're going on Walmart. They're going on eBay. So they're accustomed to shopping online. But when it comes to shopping online for Caribbean businesses, it's a bit of a chicken and the egg, because one of our challenges in Trinidad was businesses would be like, why would I invest in an e-commerce website when the credit card penetration rate is low, right? Our credit card penetration rate in Trinidad is like 10 to 15%. So businesses didn't really see that as something to invest in. But now that the banks have rolled out our new Visa debit cards and you can shop online, more businesses started to say, okay, well, we can now create the websites, people can now shop online. And there was a bit of another part of the struggle with them getting online is, who do you go to learn about setting up all of the online infrastructure? They tend to go to the agencies, but a lot of the agencies that we have in the Caribbean are advertising agencies who transition from print, radio, and TV media, and they're now getting into just taking those ads and dumping it online. So there really hasn't been enough education about how businesses need to go about building their online presence. What's the infrastructure they need in order to sell online? In the Caribbean region, none of these social media platforms have access to any of the e-commerce tools that some of the other markets have, which is why social media has blown up over the years. So give a quick example. On Facebook, you can add your Facebook shop. Same thing on Instagram. Add your products and people can buy the products right on Instagram without leaving Instagram. Same thing on Facebook, same thing on TikTok. We don't have none of that in the Caribbean. So we have to now take the traffic from social media, bring them to a place where we can sell the products, which is our website. So again, we just need to have more information, more workshops, and educating businesses how to get started and what to build so that they can understand how to take their business online.
The YouTube channel over the last 2 days or so, and I saw just a whole heap of content there. Can you just kind of give an overview of what persons can expect to see and to learn from your YouTube channel?
Yeah, so with the YouTube channel, I'll say this: my podcast and the YouTube channel have been, and my blog, those three work hand in hand. Everybody learns differently. People, like to read. There are people that like to listen to audio, and there are people that are visual learners. So I try to keep those three platforms, the blog, the podcast, the YouTube channel, all synced, and I just kind of tweak the content to fit those things. But what you can expect from those platforms is online business education and digital strategy. I'm going to be giving you all of the steps to taking your business online. What are the tools? What are the infrastructure you need? How do you go about doing it in your respective countries? And then when you build the infrastructure, how do we now educate our clients on the new ways of doing business with us? Because if you just build a website and you just kind of throw it out there, a lot of people aren't necessarily accustomed with how to do business with you. So you have to consistently teach people the ways that you accept payments, or how people can place their orders, or how people can get in contact with you. You got to educate your people on how to do business. So I educate the businesses and the entrepreneurs and the people that have a message, how to take their business online, how do they get found via Google, and also what type of content should businesses be creating so that they can build trust, show up as the industry leaders in their respective space, and start to generate traffic for the platform that leads to sales and also new business and a building of a digital community.
You're an advocate for multiple streams of income, and I could hear that the story transitioned when you moved from Canada back to Trinidad and what that would have been like. It sounded like an effortless process. We don't have enough time to go into the challenges that you would have encountered, etc. But we're here now and we have multiple streams of income. You're an advocate for that. Tell us how you can move a person from one source of income, their main priority, their business, but be able to monetize on that, capitalize on that, and create multiple streams of income successfully to be able to have what they need, whatever they want, whatever they love?
Yeah, no, great question. So this formula can kind of work for everybody. Everybody just needs to be creative and tweak it to make sense for them. Let's take the example of a baker. We know we have a lot of bakeries across the Caribbean, right? We love to use flour. We love to bake. So traditionally, people are going to open up a shop, bake the goods, and sell it person to person. So multiple streams of income. If you create your own recipes, one of the first things you want to start thinking about is creating a YouTube channel. YouTube remains the only platform in the Caribbean where our views are monetized. So the more content you're putting out on your YouTube channel and people are watching, how you're baking your goods or the journey of being a baker, the day-to-day, the behind the scenes, the more traffic you get to your YouTube channel, Google is going to cut you a check in US dollars every single month, either via check or they can do direct deposit. That's one stream. Another thing you could do is you could open up a baking podcast. If you start talking about baking in your podcast, if you might not have ideas or you want ideas as to how to turn baking into a podcast, jump on Google, type in baking podcast, see the other podcasts that are out there. They're going to be in all different markets. We don't really have baking podcasts in the Caribbean. See the types of angles that they are talking about. With your podcast, there are people that are going to want to take out ad sponsors. They're going to want to sponsor your episodes. Brands are going to want to collaborate with you to get their brand onto your podcast. That could be another stream of income. When you are creating content on your social media platform or even on your website, again, collaborative partners are going to want to take out ad space on your website, and your website, the content there lasts forever. So it's going to continuously drive people back to the partners' websites, which again, you can charge to have that space onto your website to advertise. You could also have workshops. So if you like to teach people how to cook, you can open up workshops, right? You can create ebooks, a recipe book to sell on Amazon. So those are just a couple of ways that just somebody who is baking and accustomed to selling goods over the counter, they can start to implement a couple of those suggestions, and that would create multiple streams of income within that same space.
You just gave us like 5 different businesses right off the bat. So we could tell that you know exactly what you're talking about, but that you have a very unique gift, Caron. You're able to identify and help people to pull these things out where they might lack a little bit of creativity. So we're going to pick your brain a little bit more now, because now I'm even more intrigued. These 5 businesses that you just mentioned here. But we're limited somewhat in the Caribbean, so we have to dig a little further with our creativity. You mentioned Google as one such platform that we can go and look for more information and apply that to the Caribbean. Do you have any other platforms that you use that you could recommend to us that we would be able to take advantage of in creating our businesses here as well?
Yeah, so Google being the big one, right? So Google is a platform, and Google pulls information from your website, right? Google pulls information from a few different places. The main one being a website. So you want to have your website in place, because if you don't have your website, you are already disqualifying your business from showing up in the #1 way that people in the Caribbean, the #1 platform that people in the Caribbean use, right? So you want to have your website. The second thing is you want to have a YouTube channel. Remember, like I said, people learn via reading, people learn via watching, and people learn via listening. So your YouTube channel is going to be huge. You can take bits and pieces of the content you create on YouTube and you can put it on social media. Since social media right now is very video driven, like TikTok, like Instagram Reels, even with Twitter still has, you can put videos on Twitter and Facebook as well, but you want to have, YouTube as a main video channel, because YouTube is also a search engine, right? I'm a big advocate for people getting into podcasting, because when we look at the Apple charts, for each Caribbean country, the top 20, 30, 40 podcasts are not Caribbean podcasts. People in the Caribbean are listening to podcasts all the time, but we just don't see enough creators leveraging the power of podcasting. Apple Podcasts is its own search engine and is pushing a lot of podcasts to people as well. So it's a great channel for people to start to get into. If you don't have a website, but you want to start to create written content, I would say get into medium.com. Medium.com, you can start to create written content without having a website. Medium has its own ecosystem where they're pushing out information across their email list, across their app, and across their push notification network as well. So if you want to start writing content, whether it be recipes, whether it be just talking about the ups and downs of your respective niche, get onto Medium to start creating that content. And also there's another channel that a lot of people have never heard about, and that's something called Google Web Stories. So think Instagram stories, and we know Instagram stories and Facebook stories and WhatsApp stories disappear after 24 hours. Google Web Stories allow you to create pictures and videos and also clickable links inside of your Google Web Stories, but they last forever. And the big thing with Google Web Stories is when you have your mobile device, if you have an Android, and we go to the Google search bar and we see this Google feed, that's called Google Discover, and Google Web Stories show up as either a video slide or a carousel slide on Google Discover. Also, when people are doing a reverse search through Google Images, people can click on your Google Web Stories and they're going to get that entire carousel of content. And Google is very big on pushing out Google Web Stories across its own unique channels as well. So that's another platform that, again, most people have not heard of in the Caribbean that they can start leveraging right now.
Wonderful. Caron, thank you so much for allowing me to pick your brain this morning. Just allow the Antiguan and Barbudan viewers, and of course those around the rest of the region who are watching this morning, guide them to your social media pages so that they can see more information. Of course, Caron Rose on YouTube, you'll be able to see a whole lot more content and information. But just let us know where we can find you on social media.
Yeah. So the number one place I tell everybody to find me is Google me. You can Google Caron Rose and you see everything. But it's Caron Rose on every single platform: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, CaronRose.com. Everything is Caron Rose. And then I implore everybody, check out the Digipreneur FM podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Or if you don't have a podcast app, you can go to digipreneur.fm. That is the Digipreneur FM official website where you can actually stream all the episodes right from the website as well. And that is where you're going to be able to find me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Caron, for joining us this morning. All the very best to you. We'll be back to pick your brain a little bit more. You have so much information to share, so much experience over the years. It's been amazing speaking with you this morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Patrice.
All right. Marketing and e-commerce strategist Caron Rose, currently based in Trinidad and Tobago. We'll be speaking with him another time. But, of course, as he told you, Caron Rose on all social media platforms. Check out his YouTube channel. A lot of information there for you to be able to learn from and apply and create your multiple streams of income, as he recommends. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back.